from one comic book movie company to another that makes films, we've got some interesting news on DC. It would seem that they've been listening to me in my streams, because what have I been saying for years that I want them to do, that I think DC should do? A body horror Clayface movie. I've been saying it for bloody years, literally years. And what's happening? Well, Mike Flanagan pitches a pick on Clayface to Warner Brothers DC. What? They've been listening to. They haven't been listening to me, obviously not. But, and FYI, this might not be what I wanted it to be either. But here we have it. Here's the news, right? Dr. Sleep filmmaker Mike Flanagan, he's sort of chalk and cheese. Some people love him, some people don't, has pitched a feature version of Clayface over at the studio, several sources tell Deadline. However, no word on greenlight yet, and the studio has not said no. There are no offers and no deals, though typically a DC supervillain in the Flanagan pick, should it move forward, he wouldn't be a bad guy. But you can still do a body horror version like that as well. You know, you use the being of Clayface as the body horror element, and he doesn't have to be a bad guy for that either. Although he should be a bad guy. Word is that Flanagan and his Intrepid Pictures partner Trevor Macy had a meeting with DC bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran. Flanagan, we understand, wasn't pitching the character to be part of Matt Reeves' DC Elseworld, the Batman 2 set for an October 3rd, 2025 release date. That said, other sources are telling us that the scripts are constantly changing and that Clayface is a big addition to Matt Reeves' The Batman 2. So he's either going to be in Batman 2 or he's not. And if he's not, he's going to be his own movie, maybe, if DC pick this up. So, look, I think they should absolutely, I've been saying it for years, make a body horror Clayface movie. The thing that gets boring about these comic book movies is you don't shift genres, right? You don't go, right, we're a comic book movie, but let's properly embrace sci-fi with it. Let's take a comic property and put it into a different genre, you know? And you could do that so easily with Clayface. You could make it absolutely amazing. You imagine The Thing, but with Clayface, you know, his body all ripping apart and pulling apart and open and really horrific, and then molds himself. I mean, look at the picture. Like, he lends himself so expertly to being body horror. It could be disgusting, but so cool all at the same time. You would get people there. It wouldn't even have to cost much money, especially if it's a horror film, right? You think about Joker, how much they spent on that and how much money they got. That would be amazing.
Well, that's kind of where I see this more in the vein of is like a Joker thing, right? Like it's its own thing. It doesn't have to be connected to anything else. Like Joker apparently was a take on Taxi Driver. This can be more of a take on like, The Thing, or even like The Fly or something to that matter.
Yeah,
like,
The Fly more like. That's what I was thinking too.
Like a Cronenberg body horror. Yeah, no, and the fact that Gunn and Safran are taking pitches, that's good news. That means they're taking outside pitches. They're not necessarily just confining themselves to their own, little writer's room or whatever you want to call it. I don't see a problem with this, especially if it's done as some kind of, not necessarily even an Elseworlds thing, but more like the Joker, like I said, where it's kind of a tragic character kind of storyline. No, I don't see a problem with it.
Well, what do we think is good? Do we think it's bad?
I think that's the kind of things they should do. This is what we've said before. That's why Marvel was good to begin with, was if you look at the first phase, 2 phases of Marvel, a lot of those movies were like Civil War was like, like a Dirty Dozen-ish kind of, not Dirty Dozen, what am I thinking of? Where you got the war film, and then you've got like Winter Soldier, where it was more like a conspiracy film, and Ant-Man's a heist film. Guardians of the Galaxy was a Star Wars kind of film. You have these different kind of genres within the superhero genre, and they kind of went away from that. I'm all for that. Like I was against the Joker until I saw it. And then to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I mean, as long as they don't do too much to go into like setting up this idea that the Joker's this bigger thing in Batman's world than he really is, then I'm fine with that. What I saw it is just like when they do a TV show and they obviously based it on like another movie and it's clearly inspired by, I don't have a problem with that, or a comic book or something like that. So I thought that was neat. Go ahead and grab some like you know, Cronenberg body horror kind of elements, throw it in here with some other stuff. I think you'd be, I don't have a problem with that. I think it'd be a neat film.
That'd be amazing.
I
Cronenberg, Clayface, yeah. Culture, sorry.
No, I just want to say and add to it. I think everybody here is right. I think this is something they need at DC desperately, and they need to. And so Marvel needs it too, but DC needs to get back to focusing on one character at a time and creating like something around them, and maybe not tying it to anything, or maybe tying it to something later. I think the idea of a connected universe is great, but being able to come off with these one-off projects and have them sell well and be in their own genre, that's the thing
about. Well, that's the thing about this Clayface movie, right? Like, if Matt Reeves takes Clayface, right, it can never do anything else. It has to be because of the gritty realism of that universe.
Right.
If Matt Reeves takes Clayface, it has to be there, done, whatever. But if you don't, and you go, right, Mike Flanagan pitches this Clayface movie, perfect, and it's like Cronenberg-esque, it's what I want it to be, basically.
Yeah.
You could then put that anywhere. It could be a standalone movie. Could be DC Elseworld horror, right? You could do that. You could spawn a whole new range of DC stuff, or you could just fold it into the new DC that they're going to create.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean,
because there's nothing to say that you can't introduce the character of Clayface in a truly horrific fashion in a horror film and then put him in a comic book movie. There's no reason you couldn't do that.
Well, I think that's probably the step in the right direction. I would suggest they do this with any character they're testing to begin with, and keep it ground level and keep it inexpensive to make. I think the most expensive part of this is going to be the CGI Clayface stuff, but that's going to be that.
You could do practical
prosthetics. Oh no, you could absolutely. You're 100% right, but I'm just saying, like, just the added layer of the motion that could happen is going to all be CGI.
Yeah, you CGI augmented, too practical, but CGI augmented. Yeah. That's the perfect merger of both worlds.
Which is what you're supposed to do anyway, right, Andre?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no,
I love this. Andre, what do you think?
I agree with all of you. I think this is brilliant. Like, I'm not too familiar with Clayface at all. And the beauty is I don't have to be, because I think, just like Tom, that this isn't something that's going to be part of like any shared universe. This is going to be part of the Elseworlds brand, which is going to be like a separate brand of standalone stories. That's where Constantine 2 is going to fit. That is where the Joker is going to fit. And I would imagine that is where Clayface is going to fit. And I would think that these just very well might be the most interesting movies they have to offer. And this guy right here who did Doctor Sleep and stuff like that, he certainly has like a unique filmmaking voice. And if they want to repeat the success of the Joker, that's what they kind of have to do. Yeah. With like filmmakers that have like a very unique voice, you have to be really careful about hiring people like that to work in like the sandbox of a shared cinematic universe. Because then they have to curtail their creative talent and impulses to work within a larger tapestry. Some filmmakers can do that. Most can't. James Gunn is an exception. Most of the time you'll be getting a Rian Johnson. That's the beauty and the power with like this whole Elseworlds concept. There you can make these truly unique movies on the side. And then magic can happen there, and if something flops, doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the larger thing here. So yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. I wish them well, and I hope that this is successful. And not only that, I hope we'll get other such interesting villain stories. I want to see a Von Buck movie. Von Buck being the villain from Kingdom Come.
Let me suggest one other thing in addition to what Tom said. The fact that they're taking outside pitches from people who've cracked stories that have like something to tell, that's very encouraging.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
And when you look at the fact that, as Andre suggested, they don't have to be part of anything shared, but you can take that characterization and move that into a shared universe if it's done right. I fully expect that could happen rather easily, or as Andre suggests, exist in its own Elseworld, which isn't a bad thing. The ultimate goal is to take IPs and make money with them. you know. And if you can do that, even if it's a standalone film, look at what the Joker did, as Tom referred to. You spent $55 million on something and you reap $1 billion.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Staggering achievement.
Tells you something.
Yeah.